Hey friends, so welcome to DBC Inc. Live. We are live on Facebook and also on YouTube, and we have a super special guest today. He's not a guest.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us so much. Happy New Year, almost. We're last day of 2020. I think a lot of people are ready for that last day of 2020. Looking forward to midnight and something new and fresh starting in 2021. Be sure to throw your name over there in the comments. Let us know who's here, who's joining us, where you're from. Of course, we're going to have giveaways today for sure. So you're entering to get a giveaway if you throw your comment over there. I see Tamara's here already. Amy's here. Kristen's here. Kristen, do we got like a birthday going down? Like I know it's like either today or something. What's the story with the birthday, Kristen? Let us know. I'm pretty sure that we have a birthday coming up for you.
Awesome. We are so excited to be here with y'all. We are
Annika's here from Canada too, I see.
Yeah, we have all kinds of people joining in. Lisa, Alicia, did you decide on your jammies to ring in the new year? I saw the poll. I was voting for the gray ones. I'm just kind of hoping that's the ones you have on right now. You can always send a selfie if you want. Welcome, Courtney. We're so excited to have all of you in here. We are just going to ring in the new year together. I don't know if you're like us, but my husband and I are finding a movie to watch and selecting our favorite jammies, just like Alicia, and ringing in the new year at home. I think Dave is doing similar. So let us know who you are over in the comments. We have a stack of books that we want to give away during this session, and we're just going to close out 2020 with a bang and hopefully inspire and encourage all of you to look forward to some special things in 2021.
Jamie Brown's here. What's going on? And hey, it is Kristen's birthday. I knew it was either today or the next day. So a New Year's Eve, baby. Awesome. Well, happy birthday to you. Thank you for joining us on your birthday. My New Year's Eve is going to be pretty similar to that. We're going to be hanging at home. This is definitely the stay-at-home New Year's, right? And so that's not much going to be happening here, but that's okay. That's where we're at.
So it looks like Alicia went with the burgundy. It's okay. It's okay. I still love you, even though I like the gray. Doesn't matter what jammies you're in. Be comfortable tonight and ring in the new year safely. That's what it's all about. So, Dave, I know there's been some things like we've talked about. We've been on a couple of lives talking about some things that we're looking forward to in 2021. But before we go into that, I was kind of hoping we could talk about maybe some things that we've learned through 2020. I know we've kind of spent some time talking about that. And I've actually been on a couple of live shows today talking about that very similar thing. So maybe you over in the comments, maybe just list like a special thing that you feel like you've really taken away from this year that moving forward is just going to make you better. And then Dave and I can also answer that question while you guys are commenting. Remember, all those comments are entering you to win. I told you we have a stack of books over here and they're really good. So keep them coming.
Yeah, so I think for one thing for 2020 for me has been a focus on returning to being a learner, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that a lot of people were very comfortable with what they were doing, and I was one of them. And I was very smooth. I have everything figured out. Here's my presentation. Here's my program. Here's what I go do for my keynote. Here's my workshop. Here's how we publish our books and promote all these different things when we were on like running on rails, right? And then with everything was disrupted, and all of a sudden the speaking schedule got wiped out. All of a sudden everything's virtual. Like, how do I do a keynote in front of a screen of 500 people on a Zoom and still have that same energy and enthusiasm, be able to generate that charisma and all those different things like that, right? What books are going to work in the new marketplace of a pandemic? And so all these different changes and things. It was like, okay, it's time to learn again. And I think that's been the case for a lot of educators. Like, oh, it's given us a little empathy for our students because they're learning stuff all the time. But now it's like, hey, we're all in this same boat. We're all doing things for the first time. And so that's kind of one of the takeaways I have for this year is embracing myself as a learner again.
Yeah, well, mine was very similar. I talked a little bit about this earlier, but first of all, I just realized the importance of my mental well-being as well as my physical well-being. Like, keeping those in non-negotiable all throughout the year, I think helped me to thrive in 2020 for sure. And through that process of joining CrossFit and really just joining that fitness journey, am I echoing?
You got a little echo, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know why. So weird. Anyway, sorry about that. We're live. Was embracing the beginner's mindset. I talked a little bit about that before, and I've talked a little bit about that today. So if you joined any of my lives today, then you might have heard me talk about that. But it's a very similar concept to what you're talking about. And really, when I joined CrossFit, I had to embrace a beginner's mindset. I didn't know the skills to do that. It was very complicated. I felt like they were teaching me a foreign language. And I think with 2020, it's been very much the same. You know, it really just transferred into this year, and taking the skills and the mindset really that I had for joining this fitness journey and moving it over into application, life application, professional application, personal application was so important to me to like realize, you know what, we can do hard things and it's not impossible. And we can look at things from a different perspective and see like, how are we going to problem solve now that this is the new given normal? And I think that it's just so important that we're reminded, if we're not putting ourselves in those positions to kind of build that mindset, then we probably should. We need to continually learn. We need to put ourselves in these places where we're having to learn something new. So when stuff like this happens, you know, we have this idea that, you know what, we can, I know this word's been overused this year, but we can pivot. We can do something a little bit different. And it could be better, it could be worse, but let's just try it and see how it works. So it's all about, I think a beginner's mindset and the learner's mindset are very similar in nature. And so I hope that a lot of you, I can see a lot of your comments. You're saying very similar things. So yeah, if you have something else to share about 2020, please do share it over in the comments. I think it's definitely something worthy of us hearing all the different lessons that we've learned this year, because I feel like too, just getting back to the basics, like reminding, being with my family, being able to spend more time with them, stuff like that has been very beneficial for me as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I take away is sort of the misnomer of the year, the most inappropriate phrase of the year. It's too bad that it kind of took hold, is social distancing. And it was kind of, that was like the inappropriate term right from the start, I think, because what we were really talking about is physical distancing, not social distancing. And we've seen how important it is to still stay connected and to still build relationships, not just with our students, but with our colleagues, with our friends, with our family. And it's so social distancing is not the correct term at all. It's definitely physical distancing, but social connections have never been more important than this year. And I think we've really seen the importance of that. And I'm just thinking of my Christmas and how different it was this year, but yet it worked. So my mom is in her 80s, and this is the first time in her life that she has been alone on Christmas, right? But yet we Zoomed her in and opened up her the presents that she had given to the kids and all this kind of stuff. My brother Zoomed her in, my sister, like all, and so and friends, and so she was on Zoom calls for much of the day and still making those connections, all that. Our son Hayden was 5 minutes away in a hotel with COVID-19. And so we had to do FaceTime multiple times, whether we got up in the morning, did our stocking in the morning with Hayden on FaceTime in a hotel room, and then did presents later. And then later, when each of did with the grandparents, dragged them into the Zoom and did these different things. And so, but you know what? It worked. It was fine. It's not what we wanted, but maintaining those connections and those relationships has never been more important.
So true. I think that's a perfect way to put it too, that we aren't really social distant. Like, I think we have realized, I think someone mentioned it over in the comments too. I scrolled it across really quick, but he mentioned that the relationships, across the world, everyone's starting to realize that relationships are so very important, and that communication and that connection with others, that is something that I think everyone has learned. I mean, 80-year-olds are learning how to use Zoom and FaceTime. They're like, we got to keep this connection. It's so real. It helps us. It encourages us. It helps us to get through the day. And so I think everyone has, and I noticed that I too was just getting to a place where I wasn't seeing my PLN, and I wanted to see them and I wasn't traveling anymore. So I'm like, let's FaceTime or let's Zoom walk. Let's do this together. We've never had to do that before, but being without connection was reminding me that, hey, we have all these apps and we have all these tools. Like, we can still connect. We don't have to be apart.
I love what Travis said here about the year that allowed him to be vulnerable, and that he used to see vulnerability as a weakness, and it's not the case. I love that. And when I see that, it reminds me immediately of the work of Brene Brown, right? And showing that vulnerability takes incredible courage, and it's a strength. And the having that courage to be vulnerable can be powerful, right? And that's something that I wrote about in one of my Sunday sevens recently. For me, this has been a year, for example, where I've embraced therapy and have openly talked about therapy. And that for a lot of times that was something that was stigmatized, right? They're like, well, if you're in therapy, there must be something wrong with you, or there's some problem, or like, oh, have you been diagnosed? Is there an issue? Or that's kind of the way that therapy has been looked at. But to be honest with you, I haven't run into too many people that couldn't benefit from going to therapy and having someone to talk to, and having someone from outside, who's not in the midst of your issues in your life, just an outside perspective to kind of offer you some reflective questions and some guiding, kind of guiding your thoughts a little bit, and having you have the ability to express yourself and like, hey, here's what's going on in my life. And they kind of give you some a different perspective, different lens to look at your life. And that's been something that's been helpful for me. And again, that's something that some people stigmatize. And as my therapist said, that she believes the most actualized people in the world are in therapy, because they're the ones that are actually talking about their stuff and not pushing it under the carpet.
So true. I don't know what I would do without my therapist. I think she helps me in so many ways. And even when I don't really feel like I need therapy, I just love to be able to talk to her and share just my goals and things I'm working on. She's also my wellness doctor. So she's like a jack of all trades. And I just think it's so helpful to have, like you said, just someone to hear things from another perspective. Because a lot of times they can just see things that like we can't see because we're in the moment. So I'm hoping, and I've seen a lot more people talk about therapy and talk about, like Travis talked about earlier, the vulnerability and just being so real. Personally, I've loved seeing all the realness out there. And real's an acronym, being relatable, approachable. I feel like when we are more relatable, and the E in real, exposing vulnerability, we do make ourselves more approachable. People feel like, oh, if Dave Burgess goes to therapy, like I can go see a therapist. This is okay. Like it's not a big deal. It's going to help me. And the L, I think we've all done the L in real, just learning through life. I mean, we're constantly learning new things. We're embracing this beginner's mindset. We're trying something new. And even if you've had it really rough 2020, I'm not negating that. I mean, Dave just talked about his family, like going through COVID, like actual cases. Son is dealing with it right now. This is like a serious thing, but I know that there are silver linings through all of this, that I'm hoping that we are learning some things throughout this process that will help make us better and help us to be more resilient when things like this are coming up in the future.
Yeah, and I know several people in the comments are mentioning things like normalized therapy, and therapy is just like any other part of the health and all that kind of stuff. And so I love that mindset. And that was one of the things I wrote on the Sunday 7 is like, hey, when my knee and lower leg started to hurt as a runner, I went to a physical therapist. I got treatment, right? I see a chiropractor on a regular basis to be adjusted and to kind of have my body tuned up. When I was playing basketball, I had a coach, and I have coaches that I follow, like the running programs of, and how to become a better runner. And when I want to get stronger and lift weights, what do? I go find people that are experts in that and for my fitness program. And there's all these different things. If my car has a problem, I take it into a mechanic and they fix it. And like all these things are normalized. Like no one says like, what, you went to a physical therapist? Are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah, my knee freaking hurts, right? Like that's not seen as strange, but somehow you say that you go to a therapist and people are like, oh, really? Like, oh, interesting. Like they see it as somehow different, and it's absolutely just the same. And so I agree with that, that we need to normalize that.
For sure, for sure. So I thought we might could switch gears, Dave, talking a little bit about the things we've learned in 2020 and really just thinking about like a personal goal. I know a lot of us have professional goals and I get that. And if that's what you want to share, it's your prerogative. You can share whatever you want to share. But I thought just moving in this kind of still realness that we're chatting about, maybe sharing a personal goal for 2021. It could be personal, in any way, but it also could be professional. Maybe you don't have a personal goal set, you just kind of want to share a professional goal, that works as well, but something that you're really kind of hoping to try to cannonball in and to do coming up in 2021. So if you guys want to drop yours over in the comments, we actually, while we are thinking about that personal goal or getting them over there, and before Dave starts to share his, I'll share mine after him. We do have some books that I feel like fit really well with this personal goal idea. And one of them that we're giving away is Cannonball In. So jumping in, trying it. He's got his handy as well. Thrive Through the Five. I think this is a good one too for the topic we just talked about, 2020. And then reminding us too that we can thrive. We can make the best of moments that maybe don't seem like the best. And along that same line, we have Fight Song by Kim Bearden, which is an amazing, encouraging book. It helps us to realize we are going to go through obstacles. We are going to go through struggles. We are going to have to jump over hurdles sometimes, but we have a fight song within us and we can keep chasing after those personal professional goals and keep reaching forward. So hoping to give away those 3 books during this session too. We have 2 more that we'll talk about in a minute as well. And there you go. But before that, we'll let Dave go ahead and share. What is your personal goal? What's something you're striving for that's not really related to work necessarily?
Yeah, and by the way, on that Thrive Through the Five, some people have said, what is that Thrive? What does Thrive Through the Five mean? What is that about? And what it is basically is Jill Seiler says, hey, like maybe we love our job. Like 95% of it we love about what our life as an educator. But let's kind of be honest here. There's that other 5%, right? There's that other 5%. What do we do about that? And sometimes that 5% can dampen the whole enjoyment of the other 95 if you let it. And so, but if we can learn how to get through that 5% that's tough, then we can live in that enjoyment and that fulfillment of that 95%, right? So that's what Thrive Through the Five means, is like, hey, we all have that little part of our job that's tough and we struggle with. And maybe, as we've mentioned before when talking about this book, maybe Thrive Through the 50 or Thrive Through the 60 or 70 might be the case in 2020. Yeah. When she wrote it, it was pre-pandemic and was Thrive Through the 5. But now it's probably written as like Thrive Through the 72 or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, so a personal goal of mine. All right, so I've talked about this on several Facebook Lives, but I'm just going to throw it out there again. 2021, and I'm thinking January, it's going to happen. 2021 is the start of the Dave Burgess Show podcast. And so, in fact, just yesterday, I've been talking to Tara about the podcast artwork and all those different things. And so it's moving forward, and the Dave Burgess Show will be coming to you in January of 2021. So that's been my goal for a while, to get that started. And I'm going to try and knock it out in the very first month of the year.
Super excited about the Dave Burgess Show. I think you guys are going to love it. I know he's just been jotting down topics and ideas, and he was ready to start. Actually, I'm going to tell on you for a second. He called me on Monday after I got back from vacation. He's like, Tara, and this is like 3 days before Christmas Eve. He's like, is there any way that we can get the podcast up and running by Christmas Eve? I have a message I want to share. I'm like, have you lost your mind? Like, we've already talked about this. We were going to do this in January. You don't have artwork. Like, we don't have the logo. We're not quite ready yet. But he was pumped and ready to go. So I told him to save that message for next year Christmas. So just stay tuned, because it's going to be epic. He's been working on it. He's ready for it a year early. But yeah, he's pretty pumped up about it, and so is our team. And I know a lot of the PLN have been talking about the Dave Burgess Show. You guys just can't wait.
She had to put the reins on me for a little bit there. Like, whoa, hold on there, buddy. Like, I'm just back from vacation, like, what's going on here? I'm like, let's go, let's get this up. We can do it 2 days. It's all right, it's fine. And you're like, no, it doesn't even like get processed through the system that fast. Like, there's no chance for. I'm like, all right, right on, okay.
Bless his heart. He was so excited. I didn't want to like squish his enthusiasm that we've been begging him to do this. So I'm like, oh gosh, how do I say this nicely? I want to spend time with my family on Christmas. I don't know.
Whatever, priorities. So before I ask you for your goal for 2021, Tara, one of them, I'm sure you have many, I wanted to mention something that I saw Tim Ferriss talking about when he was talking about New Year's goals. And he's kind of not into the New Year's resolution so much, but what he does do at the end of every year is he has this reflective practice, which I thought I would share with everybody. See what you think about this. Put in the comments what you think about this idea. What he does is he goes back through his 2020, through his last year, week by week, and he has two columns. He has like a positive column and a negative column. And in the positive column, he puts things down that were peak experiences, things that he really enjoyed, things that he had fun doing, things that he felt passionate about, things that really brought him fulfillment in his life. And he puts those in the positive week by week, right? And then as he's going through, he's also saying, oh, this did not work out well. This was bad. I didn't enjoy this. He has sort of like a little negative column. And then as he looks at it each month of the year, he kind of looks at there's the Pareto principle of 80-20. The 80-20 principle is basically that, you know what, like if you think of anything, like if you 100% of the stuff that you do for your job, probably about 80% of the impact comes from 20% of the things. And the other 80% only gives you 20% of the impact. And so it's really learning how to prioritize those things that have a high impact on your life. Well, that happened. The 80-20 principle works for almost in every field. And so when he said, okay, what are the 20% of activities that I did? What are the 20% of people that I was with that I really enjoyed and had peak experiences with? What are the top peak experiences of what are the 20%? And he wrote those down and said, these are things I want more of in my 2021. These are people I need to put on the calendar to get involved with. These are events that I want to make sure I participate in because they were important to me and brought me fulfillment and enjoyment. And then the same thing with the negative column. Like, hey, when I'm with these people, it brings me down. Like this, why do I hang out with this group of people? Like every time it's a whining session and I leave feeling worse. Or why do I continue to go to this type of activity or event when it brings me down? And so he says, okay, these are my not to do lists. These are my not to connect with people. And he has that down as well. And so he intentionally focuses then on 2021 about trying to add peak experiences and get rid of those things which kind of sap his energy. And so that's kind of his reflective practice at the end of the year. What do you all think about that?
I like it. I think it's a great idea. And I do a daily journal. So I'm just thinking that would be so easy to do for me. I write in my journal every single day. So I could just go back and see like really quickly. I'm assuming he journals too to be able to do that. I mean, you can't just remember everything that you did every week unless you just got a great memory out there. But yeah, that's awesome. I like that idea.
Speaking of your journaling, I think that's something that's been a big impact for a lot of people is doing. And I know you use kind of a version of morning pages, right? Where it's like just, hey, here's everything on my mind, and like just you write. There's no particular prompts, but it's just kind of like it's like a brain dump of like these are all things that I'm thinking about, and like it's going to be random, and they're not going to necessarily make connections. And then it's like, whew, okay, now I can start my day, and I'm kind of like have this fresh mindset. So I know you use that. And I'll like throw myself under the bus on this one.
Tell them how you do morning pages.
So I sometimes have a version of morning pages too, but it's an auditory morning pages. And that is sometimes when I go on a walk, I might text Tara and say like, can you take a call? Say, yeah, let me get my headphones. That's usually the response, right? And then while I'm walking, I'll do my morning pages just in a verbal vomit to Tara, and then I go, okay, all right, and now I'm 3 miles further on my walk, and Tara's just had to listen to a whole bunch of random stuff.
It's perfect though. He gets it all out of his head. I know it's not going to make sense because he's like, this is my version of morning pages. He lets me know right ahead of time. Boom, and done. And then what morning pages does, and I don't actually do it the way that, like, you can Google it. There's many ways to do it. I do it just the way Dave just described, with not verbally, but writing it all down. And then a lot of times I'll just throw mine away. I actually don't keep my morning pages. My journaling is totally separate. My journal actually mostly makes sense. But if any great ideas come out in morning pages, I save those and put them over in my journal. Other than that, I just write it all out. And then I just wad it up and throw it away, because what you're doing is freeing space inside your head for creativity. And that's the greatest thing. If you don't have a version of morning pages or somebody you can trust to like dump it all out, say, this is my version of morning pages. Don't take any of this personally. Just listen for a moment. Let me dump it all out. Get this space, get your head space clear so you can use that for creativity, for something productive, for meeting your personal goals, your professional goals, and not allowing yourself to just dwell on thoughts that are just swarming around in there. And I don't know about you guys, but I dream like in full color. So when I write those morning pages, like all kinds of things comes out in there. I'm like, well, I don't even know some of the stuff. I don't even know what it means. I don't even know why it's cluttering up my mind. But by getting it out, I do feel like I'm so much more productive when I do morning pages in the morning.
I seen Nicole mention the journal like a pirate is perfect opportunity to use for something like a morning pages type of activity. So that's fantastic. Thanks for mentioning that. And lots of people like that idea. For me, one of the key benefits too of it being on a walk. So first of all, it's physical exercise in the morning. I'm trying to get out and get my body moving and blood flowing in the morning at some point. The morning routine is super important, I believe, to your productivity. And so then while I'm processing all that stuff and getting it out and doing some of that reflection, I'm getting my exercise at the same time. And there's just something about walking or something about running or exercising, whatever it might be, that just kind of like it sort of like shuts down some of the resistance, shuts down some of the things that if I have to sit down, I have a tough time concentrating. But I'm doing something else. I'm walking, I'm running, whatever it might be, and just kind of frees it all up and gets it out easier.
Oh gosh, Nicole, a morning pages boxer group would be stressful. I don't know if I agree with that. I never want to listen to mine again, or Dave's.
You're like, wow, I didn't think that Dave was much of a person to vent and complain, but man, listen to this Voxer message he just left that was like 15 minutes long on his walk while he's like panting up some hill.
I love it. I love it. But anyway, to just free that space, one of the things we were talking about in an earlier podcast that I interviewed for is we were just talking about how it's important that we do talk about these things, that we do realize that very productive people have these neat little processes that they go through to be able to allow themselves to create like that. And a lot of times, Dave and I were talking about this the other day, a lot of times when people ask, how long did it take you to do that? Or how long did it take you to do this? How long did it take you to write Cannonball Inn? That was a question I was asked yesterday. Well, if you count all the hours I studied to how to write a picture book, and then how many hours I used to try to practice that, and then actually putting it down on paper, the editing, the back and forth with my illustrator, the how do we use the pictures and the words to tell the story together instead of just words and just pictures. If you count all those hours, this is a lot of hours, it's not like something I could just quote, oh, I wrote that in 5 minutes. I wrote that in 2 minutes. I wrote that in 24 hours. But I think great things like that and great creators out there, they don't produce something super quick. Everything takes a process. And so that's what we're talking about here is just some of these personal goals is just starting some of these processes in your daily routine to be able to get to a place where you can actually create and produce all these things that you're looking forward to in the future. So I never did answer my personal goal, but I guess I could, unless you have some more things to say, Dave.
No, so before I'm going to go back to something, but first let's go straight to your 2021. I know you probably have all sorts of stuff on your plate, but choose one for us. What's one of a Tara Martin 2021 goal?
So every year I do a bucket list, and I know you guys, if you followed me for any length of time, you've seen our bucket list and our family bucket list, and that's kind of how we choose our vacations. That's also some things that we do on this night. We revise and we check off everything that we accomplished this year, and then we set some new goals and add things to our bucket list to accomplish in the next year or in our lifetime. Anything we want to add, the sky's the limit. And so But I think I might want to share one of my fitness goals just because I could think it parallels to life too. But one of my fitness goals right now is to do handstand push-up. I have a goal of March 1st. We'll see if you follow my stories. You've been watching me do some accessory work, trying to learn how to do that and walk on my hands. And I think the coolest thing about this goal is as I was standing on my hands this morning, I was just thinking about the world from a different perspective. You know, when I'm upside down, I can see things from a different perspective. My head gets red. I get overwhelmed a little bit standing upside down. And I think sometimes life is like that. And it reminds me that I have to breathe. I have to concentrate. I have to focus. I have to use all these different muscles in my body that I don't normally use to stand up because I'm standing upside down. And it reminds me too, like to push my whole body weight up. It takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of muscles that may or may not be ready to do that just yet. So I've been working on building up those muscles. And I think as we are setting these future goals, as we are thinking about our personal goals, remind yourself that sometimes you might have to learn a few skills. I had to learn quite a few skills to write my picture book, to learn how would be the best way to reach the biggest audience in a timeless message. And so the handstand push-up goal, the handstand walking goal, just kind of reminds me that not only do we need to push ourselves to see things from a different perspective, but we also need to push ourselves to learn the skills to be able to sustain that goal that we want to reach. You don't just want to reach it and stop. You want to reach it, thrive, and then chase the next goal and use the skills that you just built to do that one for the next one and for the next one and for the next one. And so yeah, that's just kind of something I'm looking forward to. And I've been kind of thinking about it in a bigger, I don't know, just thinking about it from like a life point of view instead of just a fitness goal.
Yeah. I think I'm going to add a couple thoughts here on as you're looking for the 2021 goals and things to do. One is modeling. And so find people and connect with people that are doing what you want to do, that have what you want to have, and who have experienced the kind of success that you want to experience. And so there's the old saying that people talk about that you're kind of like the average of the 5 people that you hang out the most with. So who are your connections? Who are the people that are they empowering to you? Do they uplift you? Do they push you forward? Do they support you? Do they inspire you? Or do they drag you down and they bring you, and you can be intentional about who you connect with and who you serve as a model. And you don't even have to know them. You can read about them. You can follow them on social media. You can do all these different things. And so for one of the things that I've noticed is I look for very elite performers in whatever it is that I want to do. And I say, what are these people doing that's different from what I'm doing right now? Because I'm getting a different result in my life than this person over here. So what are they doing? Oh, I see. Well, clearly they're eating different than me. Clearly they have a different morning routine than me. They have a different fitness pattern than me. They have if I want that, maybe I need to model some of what they're doing, right? And so look at things. I'll give you a couple examples. We mentioned journaling already. Well, if you look at a lot of elite performers, you find out that they have some sort of journaling practice. So maybe incorporating that journaling practice into your life might be something that was helpful. Many of them have a gratitude practice where they intentionally find times where they seek and express things that they are grateful for in their life. So they're bringing their focus intentionally to positive, empowering things, not complaining about what's wrong in their life, but they've found some sort of gratitude practice. Another one, many of them have a meditation practice of some sort. So not only have they done things to master their physical body, not only are they making connections with other people, but they've also taken some time to internally reflect and find some stillness and some calm. So they have some sort of meditation practice. So whenever you see elite performers, it's a perfect opportunity to try to see, hey, what is it that these people are doing? And maybe there's something I can take away from that. Maybe I can model something that they're doing.
I think that's so true. And I hate to refer to this, but it's exactly what I talk about when I talk about Cannonball Inn. A lot of times what happens is people listen to the dabblers, people get a little hung up on what other people are saying, but oftentimes those are the people that stifle your growth, and they're not even jumping. They're not even in the water. They're not even wet. The dabblers were just the pretty girls sitting on the sideline judging all the jumpers. But truly, if you want to be a great cannonballer, Go ask the cannonballers, like, hey, what are you doing? How are you making this happen? Watch them, observe them. pattern some of your practices after them. And I think that's what Dave is really saying. You know, if we want to be better at making a splash, well, by golly, we don't need to talk to the dabblers or let them stifle our growth. We need to get over there to the jumpers and see what they're doing and figure out how can we do that too.
Yeah, and it's not that you have to avoid pushback or useful constructive criticism. Sometimes that's a good thing to have in your life, right? But you always have to ask what's the agenda of the person? Like, does this person have my back? Is this person saying this to try to make me better, or are they trying to drag me down? And if they're trying to drag you down, you don't have to give that your energy, right? And so you are responsible for where you place your energy and who you bring into your space. And so that's how I feel about social media sometimes. Or people will say, like, how can you ignore a couple of these? Can you see what these people have just said about you? Like, how could you possibly ignore that? And I always tell them, like, well, look, if someone knocked on my door and I opened the door and they started insulting me and saying rude things, like, do you think I would invite them in my house for a conversation? Like, they came to I don't even know who this person is, right? And they'd knock on my door and start saying stuff about me and intentionally misunderstanding like what I do or whatever, something like that. Like, I'm not having a conversation with this person. I'm going to slam the door shut and go about living my life. Well, that's the way it would be in your physical life. Like, you would never let someone come into your house and like sit down at your dinner table and start and mistreat you. Well, I'm not letting someone come in my social media life and do that either. I'm going to shut the door. I'm ignoring it. I'm not investing my energy there. And so that's something that you can think about too. Like, does this person really have my best interest at heart? If they have my best interest at heart, maybe I want to hear what they say and maybe I can learn something, right? But if they don't, then that's not a place I'm putting my energy in. So that's what I love what Gary Vee says about this. Gary Vee talks about how many people won't post what they want to post on social media, or they stop posting something that they believe in social media because of something that Sassy Pants 45 said, you know? So it's like an anonymous account, like that they don't even know, like Sassy Pants 45 said that I look fat in this top. So like, I'm not going to post my workout pictures anymore. It's like, you're going to change your life because of Sassy Pants 45? Like, there's no way, right? It's not going to happen. And so, you know, go out there, live your life, do your thing, spread your message, share what you have to share with the world, and let the chips fall to me. I just got a sweatshirt and a t-shirt for Christmas that I'm pumped about, and it says, "Be you, they'll adjust." I believe that 100%.
So true. It's gotta be that way too, because the more content you guys put out there, the more you're gonna have resistance. That's just part of it. And there's a lot of times, like Dave was saying, even from the dabblers, even from the ones who don't have our best interest in heart, there's sometimes I learn from them. There are sometimes they put stuff out there and I'm like, that gives me something to think about. But it's not going to stop me from posting. It's not going to stop me from creating content. And that's what was happening in the little story. Like, she was like, okay, well, then I'm done. I'm going to the shallow end because I'm comfortable there. But no, her dad didn't let her stop there. He's like, no, you just accomplished this. Like, you loved it. Get back over there. You were born to jump. Like, you weren't born to sit on the sidelines and watch the jumpers. And I think a lot of us out here, it's the same way. We were born to create content. We were born to jump. We were born to try new things. We weren't born to sit on the sidelines and watch others do that. There's space enough for all of us to tell our story, to do our thing, to live our purpose. So get out there, do it. If people try to stifle you, don't let them. Don't let Sassy Pants 45 take the best of you. Get out there and do that thing. So we have some books to give away, Dave.
All right, let's do it. Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, just to throw one other thing out there, make sure get yourself an accountability partner.
Oh yeah.
If you set a goal, find someone that's gonna inspire you, empower you, uplift you, that maybe is on the same journey that you're on. Maybe they could be a couple steps ahead of you, they could be a couple steps behind, or they could be right where you are. But it's someone where they could say, like, hey, did you? If it's a fitness goal, like, hey, did you run today? And you can share, yes, I did. And you can share back and forth. And so, you know, I have several people like that in my life that I like, that we push each other and share. And so make sure you get yourself an accountability partner when you set these goals.
Especially helpful when you're just starting it. I mean, once you've developed that, you know, you have your steam rolling ahead. You may not need to. I don't need to text Dave my workout every single day. I don't have to do that necessarily. I'll just tell him like, hey, I got a new PR. Hey, this, hey, that. Somebody could celebrate with. But especially when you're starting out with anything and you want somebody to help you, accountability partners are so helpful. And especially if they're going through the same kind of journey, that's always encouraging too, because on your days when you feel like crap and you don't want to do it, which there are those days, then you have somebody there to remind you, hey, you got this, come on. Or they're doing it and you're like, man, I don't want to not show up.
Yeah, like I'm, for example, getting ready to go do my run this morning, and I'm thinking, man, it is cold outside. But then I'm thinking, oh, but wait, Anik is probably going to go run in Winnipeg today, and it's below freezing. Like, am I really going to say that I wasn't going to run in San Diego because it was too cold this morning? Can't do that. So, it can be a powerful thing to motivate you.
It's true. It's true. And post your journey, share your journey. It's always helpful. I can't tell you how many people, I used to think sharing my journey on my stories was like lame and people were like, whatever, that's dumb. But there's so many people that say, I get up and I look at your story and I'm like, okay, I got to get up. She's already worked out. Like it's done. I got to get up and get moving. I get messages like that all of the time, and just encourages me to kind of keep sharing my journey because you never know who it might be helping. So yeah, do share. Okay, so we have some books, Dave. We have Thrive Through the Five, Fight Song, Cannibal Inn, the two we didn't talk about. We have Sanctuaries if you're feeling a little stressed out. Dan Tricarico has your back. This book is so incredible. I love it. Just brings that calm right into your life. And then we have Principled by Kate and Courtney and Rachel. Really love this book. If you have a leader in your life that you want to give it to, but also if you are just aspiring leader, this is a great book. It's so practical. I love these ladies. They're so real. And so we have 5 books, Dave. I don't know how are we going to do this?
So first of all, this book is perfect for heading into the new year, because it's kind of the way that it's set up is the first section is about reflect. And as you end 2020, this is the perfect time to reflect on your year and to think about what's going on, right? And then the next word is focus. That's the next part of the book. And this is where maybe when you think of focus, like people talk about coming up with their one word or whatever they do, or their goal, their New Year's resolution, whatever it is that you do, your practice. So we reflect on what you've just been through. You focus on something new. It talks about connecting. So that we talked about how now you need to connect with empowering people and inspiring people. And then about care, talking about grace and gratitude and self-care and different things like that. So this is a fantastic book to start the year. Same with the Balance Like a Pirate, making sure that we're taking care of different aspects of our life. They have sort of 4 key areas of your life that you want to make sure that you have, that you're keeping in some sort of a balance. And so let's say, how are we going to do? Are we going to randomly choose some people from the comments?
Wait, I have 5 and you have Balance Like a Pirate, so we have 6.
Oh, 6 books?
Well, we were going to give away 5.
That's right. 6 it is. It's the last day of 2020.
Okay, let's celebrate. So how are we going to do it? This is what happens when Dave and I come on with no plan. We go 45 minutes and we still aren't sure how we're supposed to make it. We're just winging it.
All right. So I'll tell you what, why don't we, so what we'll do is we'll announce the giveaways after the program, but maybe we'll try to find people who have shared one of their personal goals for 2021.
Okay.
And
if you haven't put your personal goal in, go ahead and jot it in while we're closing this sucker out, because personal goals are going to, 6 of you that have a personal goal over in the comment section are going to win one of these books. And we will share with you which book you won. So wow, Anik, it was really cold. And Nick, I forgot the degrees, but it was really, really cold. She posted it over here, but she did run this morning. It was colder than San Diego, Dave. So I'm glad you got up and did it.
Yeah, well, and it's like sometimes she talks in that Celsius stuff, the Canadians, so I don't know. I always have to go to like a Google translator of to Fahrenheit to understand what's going on there.
Hey, I do have an app for that, by the way. Have you seen it? I put it in Sunday 7 a couple weeks ago. Did y'all see it? It's called Units Plus.
Okay,
so,
I need that on my phone.
Yeah, you do for Celsius, and but it has all the different things. It was great for Mexico when I was trying to translate pesos currency. to dollars. But yeah, it does all kinds of things. Length, temperature, speed, pressure, all those things. So you should check it out. It's free.
All right, so you have just like another minute or so to get your 2021. If you haven't put your 2021 goal in, a 2020, I'm sure you have many, some sort of 2021 little thing that you're shooting for, get it over there in the comments, and we'll get 6 winners that we'll announce at some point. We'll put it into the comment stream after we get off the air.
Okay, I'm finding this out first in Nick. 22 Celsius. Oh, negative. I'm like, that's not very hot. I mean, that's not very cold, but negative. It's negative 7.6 Fahrenheit.
See, exactly. How could I possibly say I wasn't going to run this morning in San Diego?
What was it, 60?
You know, I think it was actually for San Diego, it's pretty cold. The morning was in the 40s.
Whoa, that is cool for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for always joining us on Thursday nights. We really do appreciate it. We will be continuing these lives throughout 2021. We will have some more authors on. We're super excited. We have a bunch of new authors we're bringing in 2021 too. So you'll be seeing some of their faces on Thursday nights. Free PD is usually 30 minutes. So we try not to take up a lot of your time, but you're on break tonight. So you know what, we can take up all your time tonight. We're ringing in the new year with you, and we're giving away a lot of free books. And so we do always give a book away on Thursday night too, with whatever author that we are having share on the show. So please do continue to join us at the same time, 6:30 Central Standard, 4:30 PST. So yeah, we'll just be continuing this throughout the new year. We're also bringing a bunch of new stuff with DBC Inc. So you do need to check us out. Check out our website, DaveBurgessConsulting.com. And yeah, there's a lot of cool things coming in 2020.
Thank you so much for everyone who's been in. Thank you so much for all of you who have put the comments in over on the side. We really appreciate you joining us on New Year's Eve. And I know it's been a wild and crazy 2020, but I'm super excited to be able to wish you a happy new year and heading into hopefully a much better 2021. And can't wait to connect with you further in this coming year.
Yeah. And I kept saying 2020, but I mean 2021. We're saying goodbye to 2020 tonight. It's over. It's over. We're done. There's a lot of goals still coming in. So I'm just trying to buy a little bit of time here. Don't want anybody to get left out. And yeah, I think that's it though, Dave. I don't know if I can buy more time.
Comments are flying. It's fantastic. Again, thank you so much. And don't forget, 2021, January, the Dave Burgess Show.
Burgess Show. You definitely want to check out the Dave Burgess Show. The artwork's going to be awesome too. I know the creator.
Now the person's on. Now it better look good.
It's going to be amazing. You're holding me accountable. All right, friends. Well, we appreciate you all. Thank you. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2021. Bye, everyone.